I have a different way of looking at wealth. There's financial wealth, and then there's something else. I'm here today to talk about the something else. I'm having lunch at a billionaire's compound in this incredible estate in the American Southwest. There's a 4-star chef, servants coming and going, horses trotting outside the dining room window, and maybe 15 of the area's wealthiest people are gathered. Real titans of industry. It's like a movie scene. And to be clear, I'm not one of those uber wealthy people, but I am humbled and excited to be invited. We're on the soup course, and this is the most expensively concocted soup I've ever eaten. For years now, I've been a financial advisor, fortunate to work with remarkably successful people like these. And this soup, it's really good. But in truth, it's not much better than the one that I'd eaten almost every day in a soup kitchen 20 years earlier. I'd left home. I was struggling to find myself after realizing my values didn't align with my financially motivated father. Where in the soup kitchen, I was surrounded by people who were grateful for every morsel. More than that, they were happy. Some were struggling to make ends meet, some were completely unhoused. But all were swapping jokes and sharing survival tips and carrying each other's bowls up to the dishwasher. This is community, I thought. This is life. Even when no one in the soup kitchen had any money in their pocket. And on that billionaire's compound, years later, surrounded by a very different kind of people, the vibe was decidedly different too. The soup was marginally tastier, I'll admit, but there really wasn't any joy, and if there was laughter, it was polite and muted. I looked around at these financial giants who had sacrificed so much and worked so hard to build their empires. Then they'd hired guys like me to build them even bigger. And I asked myself, why? Is this it? Is this where my aspirations are taking me? Is this the type of wealth I'm helping people build? Now, I've been in the financial services industry for a couple decades now, and I've done well for myself. But I haven't done too well to forget where I've come from or where I still hope to go. And here's what I've learned money can do. It can provide a sense of safety and safeguards for the future. Provides opportunities and options in the here and now. But here's what I've learned money can't do. It can't reach out to you when you're feeling sick, can't hold space for you when you're feeling heartbroken, or throw you a birthday party when you're really too shy to admit that you want one. There I was, surrounded by the wealthiest people I could imagine. But I was less sure than ever that how I'd been measuring that wealth was true. And it was there that I realized that the old wealth paradigm was not working. Our most common approach to wealth, what I call the old wealth paradigm, was formed by scarcity, survival. Since the beginning of time, whenever our brains perceive scarcity as something, our amygdalas, sort of dead center in our brains, would trigger a fear response and would shift our focus to those lacking resources. That used to be food, shelter, safety. But over the past few thousand years, we accumulated land, material value, money. And those ancient triggers have stayed with us. Instead of being motivated by abundance, we're motivated and triggered by scarcity here in the prefrontal cortex, out of the fear that we'll never have enough. It's a cycle we get stuck in. We end up working careers we hate, living lives we're not fulfilled by, constantly comparing ourselves to others, and making big life choices, all in the name of amassing more. Now, I shouldn't have needed to study history or neuroscience to make sense of this trap. My two families had shown it to me years earlier. The family I was born to and the family that helped me break the cycle. In the family I was born to, my dad was an earner. He had no money growing up, and he had a scarcity mindset. But he wanted to provide for his family, so he started a trucking company. He and my mother worked very hard to raise all of us kids, to get jobs and save money so we could feel secure. And I wasn't an outlier. According to the National Endowment for Financial Education, 77% of us adopt our view of finances directly from our families. Now, because my dad was so focused on earning, when I was a kid, I spent much of my time with our neighbors, the Kirkpatricks, on their nearby farm. They became like second family. And they didn't really seem to prioritize money at all. In fact, they were constantly sharing what little they did have with others. They were always feeding people, checking in on neighbors, holding gatherings, laughing. So the family I was born to, they taught me about money, and I'm grateful they did. But it was my adopted family, the Kirkpatricks, who had very little, who changed my perception of wealth and helped me redefine it to what I now call the true wealth paradigm. True wealth is not money saved, it's life lived. When I was first getting ready to give this talk, I went to the dictionary to look up the definition of wealth, and the first 6 to 8 options were what I expected. A large amount of money or valuable possessions. Then there are other categories of wealth, whether it was corporate wealth or consumer wealth or private wealth, household wealth. And then way down at the bottom was an alternate take on wealth that you might not find even if you're looking for it. A large amount of something good. Something good. And that's it. What counts as something good to one of us isn't universal. Cash, land, assets, okay. What about time? What about experiences? What about love? What are the currencies? What are the something goods of your life? When I sit down with clients and help them plan for their future, besides discussing their current financial resources, I ask them a series of questions that often surprises them coming from a financial advisor. What energizes you? What are you afraid of? What would it look like to live life with total fulfillment? Now, I'm trying to help them define their wealth and live an authentically wealthy life. And yes, most, if not all of their answers revolve around security because they've been hardwired to meet their basic needs. And these needs are real, and that's okay. We all need to feel safe, we need to have shelter, we need to have food. So let's agree that security, money, can provide resources now and create safeguards for the future. It's a fairly universal currency. But the measures of our lives are made up of so much more. In fact, I'm going to argue that the other 5 wealth currencies in the true wealth paradigm can be just as important in building a rich and fulfilling life. I developed these currencies with psychologist Julie Caldwell, whose research in human motivation and behavior helped me find areas we find energy in. So what are those currencies we build? After security, we have physicality, our health. It may be our most primal currency. The ability to live life at the physical level. We eat well, we exercise, we train our bodies, train our brains, hopefully to be healthy for the full span of our lifetimes. Next, we have possibility, or put another way, freedom, wonder, hope. We devote energy into trying new things, making our own choices, exploring the unknown. The next measure of wealth is creativity. And I include artistic pursuits and hobbies in this definition, but I'm also talking about the enrichment of our minds, living in the magic of the present moment, exploring new ideas, whether for ourselves or for the world at large. Now here's a funny story. When I sit down with clients to walk them through this wealth assessment, there's sort of a wealth score that's tabulated. Now, my wife and I take the assessment as well. I've been in the financial services world for over 25 years, and when my wife, Michelle, scored a considerably higher score than her money guy husband, moi, that was an awkward moment. I said, how is this possible? There must be something wrong with the assessment. But the reality is that Michelle spends her time on things that energize her around creativity, art, design, people, all of which she values like I value security, but where I've yet to hit my mark. But I'm learning, thanks largely to her, to let go of my mark. Thank you, honey. The sister currency to creativity is productivity. Some might call it using our time well with purpose. The satisfaction we're able to gain from the work we do and the contributions we make. Some may raise children, some may write blogs, some build careers that they really care about. Productivity, doing stuff, takes many equally valid and admirable forms. And the final wealth currency is connectivity, the wealth found in our relationships and community. The family, life partners, friends, even colleagues with which we nurture bonds and navigate life's challenges. For 86 years, Harvard's study of adult development has tracked thousands of participants and the many factors that make them flourish over their lifespans. And the study's biggest conclusion, stunningly simple. More than their health, more than their careers, how much money they made, whether they traveled the world, good relationships lead to health and happiness. Your friends, your peers, your community may be the most relatable currency of all. True wealth is like a portfolio comprised of each of these 6 currencies. And the best part is you get to build your own portfolio. You can even shift it over time as your goals and values evolve. The 13th century philosopher and poet, Rumi, famously asked, "Why do you stand in prison when the door is wide open?" Pursuing wealth through the definitions handed down to us through centuries, now hardwired into our brains and reinforced to us every day through our social media feeds, that's the prison. That's the old wealth paradigm. But each of us has a key to escape. To discover your balance of currencies and to build true wealth in the true wealth paradigm, the you wealth paradigm, you have to ask hard questions. What's important to me? Why are these things important? What would it look like to live totally fulfilled in life? What am I afraid of that's stopping me? The family I was born to was big on security. To my second family, the Kirkpatricks, connectivity was the currency they valued most. Over time, as my 2 families grew closer, I'd watched the values of one family positively impact the other until both were wealthier in ways they would have been otherwise. What are the currencies that you want to grow? What or who can help you grow them? After taking my own assessment and seeing how I scored, I can tell you I made some changes. For example, I play more now. I was soft on creativity, so I'm working on exploring and trying new things, most recently horseback riding. I also leaned into connectivity. I started a supper club with other husbands when our wives are away. We call it the Married Bachelors Club. We hang out with one another, have great conversations, and deepen our relationships, learning how we can be more open and supportive to our families. My portfolio is balanced, diversifying more every day. I feel wealthier in ways I never knew I needed. Take your assessment. Map out your currencies. Talk to the people in your life who matter most and see how you can support the building of each other's wealth together. Your large amount of something good, your true wealth, is out there for you to grasp. I wish you all an abundant future.